Kia ora koutou, welcome to another lesson. In this one we are going to cover Purea Nei by Hirini Melbourne. What a classic! And at this present time right now it is New Zealand Mental Health Awareness Week. So this is a good song for that type of kaupapa, as it was written for one of his students who went through some adversity. Unfortunately they passed away, but it's about uplifting someone as well as recognising the release that they can have to now fly into the heavens. And so with this song, it's about that kind of vibe. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we have some content already up there, some other waiatas that you can learn, as well as we've got some more on the way. Leave a comment as well if you've got any pātai, any questions, feel free to leave them and I'll try to answer them as best as what I can. As per usual, timestamps are in the description, which you can go straight to the parts that you want to learn. With this, there's going to be a quick touching on for the basics of it, so that way if you're just a straight beginner you can learn that part of it, but it's going to be very quick. And then there's going to be the actual lesson, which is going to be a bit of arpeggiation and a few other things. So jump to those timestamps. As per usual as well, the jam track is at the end if you just want to go and have a little play along with it. Second thing with this, that we're going to be doing the Aotearoa songbook version, which is in the key of A, and there is a music sheet for it. I'll leave the link also in the description. As per usual too, words kupu, they are going to be pinned in the comment section, and I will leave a translation for this one too. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward, and we'll get right into this one. So Purea Nei, here we go, let's go. Wow. Alright, so for this song, and we'll just set it up first, it's in the key of A. The BPM is 55, which is a pretty slow tempo. It's quite somber, as what I said in the intro. The song was written for one of the students of Hirini Melbourne who unfortunately passed away. Now, it is really just based around 3 chords predominantly. There is a 6th chord in there with this version from Aotearoa Songbook, so you will have to get to know 1 bar chord if you are a beginner. But we will start with that, and we're going to bring up pretty much all of the stuff here if you want to know what the chords are. So we're going to start off with an A. Now there's an A sus2 that actually is on the score sheet, but if you just want to play an A, it will work with it as well. So we're going to have that A, and then the next chord is going to be what they call a D add 9, but we can just play a straight D. So these would be the block chords of it. And then we are going to play back to an A. And then there is one important chord in there as well, which is an A7, a dominant 7, which is important with the melody with this song. And there's also an E. So then technically we've got four chords with that A7. And then, as what I said, there is a F sharp minor 7. Alright, so if we were to play this, we're just going to go with straight A first, and this is just for our beginners. And then you can just keep it to that 4/4 timing. It's all just 4/4, except for one little bar, or there's 2 bars in there which switches to a 2/4, so there's a meter change. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do with the A. Purea Nei, so you just all that A. And that's when you change to the A7. So our A chord is just a straightforward A major. Okay, as you're going to just see on the chord sheet over here, on the chord diagram, is that you're going to have a straight line where it's just your first finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, 2nd finger just below that, 2nd fret of the G, and then straight underneath that is the second fret of the B string. We only play the top 5 strings, so we don't play this low E. Right, and then we're going to play a D chord, and then that's our D chord. All right, now just before we play that D chord, we are going to play an A7. Now all that you got to do is just take your 2nd finger off, and then you leave that string open, so you leave the G open, and then you get that chord there, and then that's an A7. Then you're going to go to a D, you're going to go to that D, then you're going to go back to A, then back to A7. Alright, so you're going Horuia e te ua Whitia, that's the D, e te ra Mage akena, back to the D, and then you're going to go back to the A. Then the makere on the D, makere ana, then back to E. So that's that fifth, that's the 5 chord. So we're going to go to E. So you're going to go makere ana, namere. Then you're going to go to A and then turn around on the E. That's pretty much the whole song all the way through. The only part that changes is the outro. And then the outro, instead of going back to the E in that last bar, it goes to an F sharp minor. Now I'm going to touch on this bar chord and how to get bar chords sounding pretty much good, and the way that they're supposed to sound. Now this is an F sharp minor 7, so this is a very easy bar chord to play. So you're going to bar the whole of the 2nd fret, and then your 3rd finger is going to play the 4th fret of the A string, and then that's it. You're going to play all 6 strings. Now the thing with the bar chord, if you know that you're playing it right, is to play each individual string and make sure that the note rings. Now you see that my first note was pretty bum on that because you can hear the buzz from the fret. That bling. So what we're going to do is we're going to just try to adjust. Right? And now that's how you want it to sound. You want it to sound clean like that. Now the thing is I like to place my thumb just on the bottom half of the fretboard if I start to struggle with the bar. And as long as I pinch with my index finger and my thumb, that's usually a good amount of pressure that we're on. Now I'm not straining hard out to actually play a bar chord, so it's not about the grip strength of it. It's more about the pinch that you're trying to get between these 2 fingers. Now if you get that right with this finger here, then the rest of the other fingers should follow with how much pressure that you put on. Another good point is to try to get this part of your finger, so this kind of like the first knuckle joint part of your finger here, try to get that locked onto the board. So it's pretty much this part that you're trying to get. So if you imagine that my finger here is like the fretboard, you're trying to get that to lock around, or even like that. Okay, so you can see just on that part there. So I'm not doing that. I'm not getting it right on the knuckle here. It's more on this first joint is where I'm trying to get the bottom of the board, and you just lock it around. Now it's just muscle memory in the end, and muscle memory just comes if you just keep practicing. So that's the key to a bar chord. Now that's pretty much all the chords that you need for this song with the beginner's one, and then you can play along because there's going to be the jam track at the end, and the chords will still run through. Now if you ever see an A sus2 or an A major 7, you can just play the normal straightforward A, but in this it's a little bit more of an advanced lesson, or it's intermediate level starting to touch the advanced. So we're going to start heading into that part of the lesson. We'll see you there. Sure. Alright Koto, so for this part, this is for the people who want to add a little bit more flavor and understand a few more things about the guitar and how to get things to just sound a little bit more interesting, add a little bit more color to it, get that little Salt Bay flavor to the music. Now what actually happens with this is it goes between an A sus2, an A major 7, and an A dominant 7. But we don't usually say A dominant 7, we usually just say A7. So to define between a major 7 and a dominant 7th, you go major 7th and 7th. Okay, so if you hear the 7th, it's usually meaning it's going to be dominant. Now, what's the difference between major 7th, or just a major chord, a major 7th, and a dominant 7th? Well, if we had A, what you're wanting to do is, if you want to make, this is just A major. And that's because there is the 3 triads with it, which is just A. The triad of A, you were going to have an A, an E, and a C sharp, and those are the 3 notes. So that's just A major. Now, if we're going to play A major 7, which is making an extension out of it, we're going to add the 7th note of the A major scale, which is a G sharp. So we got G sharp in there now, which is now happened down here. So here's A major, here's A major 7, and then if we're going to play dominant 7, well, we're now going to flatten that 7th note of the A major scale, and if we're going to flatten it only just by half a tone, semitone, it's now going to become a G note, and that becomes a dominant 7. Okay, now with the thing with the dominant 7, the difference is the dominant 7 is introducing the G note into this A chord, which is outside of the A major scale. So it kind of has this jarring kind of sound to your ears with it. And it's just done for effect kind of thing, just to add a bit more color and a bit more movement within the chords, instead of just playing a straightforward A. Cool. So then that's what an A major 7, a dominant 7th is. Now there's an A sus2 as well. All that means is you're suspending the 3rd and you're adding now the 2nd note of the A major scale, but you're not playing the 3rd of the chord. Instead, we're going to play a B. And because if you were to think about this as A major, well, then the 2nd note of A is B, right? So that's why it's important to learn the major scale and to get that down in order for you to understand what the numbering is on the chord. So we're going to play A sus2 to A major 7. Now to do this, with this particular version, I'm not going to play it verbatim like how it is with Aotearoa Songbook. I'm just going to do my own arpeggiation rhythm. Now, what's an arpeggiation? An arpeggiation is just picking out individual notes to make the chord, and you should hear all the individual notes. Okay, so that's the arpeggiation. And what I'm doing there is I'm going from the A sus2 back to the A major 7. So here is A. That's just the 1 and the 5. So that's A, E, A. Then there's a B. And then the E. Now that B makes it the sus2. And then I'm going to play the A, the E, and the G sharp note here, and then that makes the A major 7. So I'm not going to play the full A major 7 like this. I'm only going to play 3 notes within it, so I'm missing out the 3rd in that one if you want to look at it like that. The A string first, so I'm playing the A sus2. So just like you play a normal A chord, but with A sus2 you'll take off the 3rd finger there and you leave this B string open. So you leave that string that this finger was on, you now leave it open, and you're just going to play those. So you're going to play the low A, you're going to play the D string, the G string, the B string, and then the high E, and then you're going to switch around your fingers like this to kind of make like an E chord, but we're going to make just the top of the A major 7 chord. So our first finger is on the 1st fret of the G, and then second finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the D string. Now you can put your 3rd finger in its usual position on the 2nd fret of the B string, but we're not playing that as a part of this rhythm with the arpeggiation. So, and then I'm going to play the A, the D, and the G together. Now I play the A with my thumb, and then I have my index finger and middle finger on my right hand. Play those 3 notes. Alright, so we're going Purea Nei e te hau. Alright, so that's the rhythm for that little section there. Now, once that the A7 comes into it, so we're going to go from an A sus2. Alright, so we're going from an A sus2, and this is where I start to play the dominant 7th. So what we do is, instead of putting our first finger on, after we play that A sus2, we're going to go through the strings again. So we're going to play the A, the D, the G, and then I'm going to play the B open, and then I'm going to hammer on the 2nd fret with my 3rd finger here. Okay, so I'll play that again, and you see my fingers here. Now, after I hammer on the 2nd fret with the B string, I play the open G again, and then I put my pinky down on the 3rd fret of the B string and play that one there, and that becomes a A7, an A dominant 7, but we're introducing now the fourth note of the A major scale. So it's kind of like a sus4 kind of as well, and that's just going to help us lead into this, what they call a D add 9. Now on the music sheet it says a D add 9, which would be that there. Okay, and the difference between an add 9 and a sus is that with an add 9 you're going to play the 3rd as well, but I play this like a D sus2, which is still the 9th, because the 9th note of a D major is E, right? Because you're just adding in the 9th is just the octave above that 2nd note. So that's why I kind of play the D sus2 instead, but because I'm arpeggiating, you don't really get the 3rd anyway. So with this I go, so I've got, what I'm doing here is I'm playing a bar to get a D sus2, or I'm going to add 9, and this is going to be on the 5th fret. Now we're not going to play the low E, so it's barring all of the 5th fret, and then we're going to put our fingers 2nd fret, 3rd finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D string, and then right beneath that is going to be our pinky on the 7th fret of the G string there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick all of the notes up to the B string, come back, and then play down on the G and the D. So, and then once I go back up, I'm going to hit that 5th fret on the E there, and that's how you get that sound. Now that's how if you're arpeggiating, as long as you stay within the chord, you're all good. So if you were to look at the chord chart itself, if you were to just stay within those notes, it doesn't matter which way that you play it, as long as you stay in time, it will always sound good. So stay within the chord itself, as well as stay in time, and everything will be hunky-dory. Then we're going to go back to the A sus2. So the D add 9 comes in on the chorus. So that's when 50, right? Okay, so I'll go from the verse and coming out of so when I introduce that A7, right? So we're going Okay. So yeah, once it goes to e te rā, it just goes back to the A sus2, back to the A major 7, and then it goes to the A7 after that. And that's only for 2 counts, because you'll see on the score sheet that there are 2 meter changes here. One is just before the e te rā, or just on the back end when it goes e te rā. That's the second count of the meter change, right? So the 2/4, and then it goes back to 4/4. Then it goes back to 2/4 on the A7, all confusing, ain't it? And then the D add 9. So go have a look at that chord sheet in Aotearoa Songbook, and you'll see what I mean in the chorus. Just on that first line there, you'll see that there's 2/4, then it goes to 4/4, then back to 2/4. So the pattern remains the same, right? So the exact same pattern happens again, then you go back up to that D add 9, and then back down to the A sus2, back to that A major 7, and then it goes to the A7. Makere ana na here. Okay, so when it comes to the makere ana, we're just going back to that D add 9, or the D sus2, right? So that one there. And then we're going to play what we call an E sus. And that's just basically 1 and 5. So it's going to be the E, and I play that like this. So what I'm doing is I'm playing an E on the bottom, so I'm playing the low E string. And then I'm going to be playing the 4th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string, and 7th fret of the high E. And 3rd finger's not doing anything there, right? So 7th fret I'm holding with my pinky, 5th fret of the B string I'm holding with my 2nd finger, and then my 1st finger is on the 4th fret of the G. You should get that. And that is just because this low E is E, this note here is a B, that's just another E, and then this one here is just another B. So E sus. So yeah, you're suspending the 3rd, so you get rid of the 3rd, and that's why this is only just a 1 and 5, or if you want to look at it like a power chord, right? And then it goes back to a sus2. So once it goes makere ana na here. Alright, and that last little E is that I play an E to an E sus4. So we're just going to play just a regular E. Right, and all I'm just doing is I'm playing all of this, I'm playing the low E, the D string, the G, the B, right? But then when I play that G, I'm hammering on with my pinky here to the 2nd fret. So we're playing like a normal E, and then I'm hammering on when I get to, and then I'm also playing the B after that. So I'm not doing this, so I'm not getting two strikes out of it. I'm striking and hammering on with my pinky. Right? So it goes one. So we're from makere, 1, 2, 3, 4. Makere ana na here. Erere wairua herere kina o te rangi. Whiti whitia e te rā. And back to A7. Alright, and then that's how that one goes. You keep going through to the end of the chorus. And then for the outro, so instead of playing that E, like how we did in the first time of the chorus, so we went from A sus2 to the E, we just go from A sus2 to the F sharp minor. So now we're on to the outro. And for that, we're just we'll go from the D add 9, last little bit of the chorus, but then we'll go to the outro. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Makere ana na here. Makere ana na here. At A sus2 to A major 7. Okay, now on the jam track, I just end it with the A sus2 to the A major 7th, and just with the Purea Nei. Cool, so that outro, playing the F sharp minor 7, which is just the 2nd fret barred, and then the 3rd finger on the 5th fret on the 4th fret, I should say, of the A. And then that's it. I'm actually not playing this string at all. I'm just going the low E. And then I'm just playing the D, the G, and the B. And that's it. And that should be enough to get you back to the A, to the D add 9. Purea Nei e te hau. That's pretty much the whole song, and if you play along with the jam track, you'll be able to kind of work out how it all fits together. Particularly if you're at this level where you're able to do some picking rhythms and some arpeggiation. If you're a beginner, ka pai, just kia kaha, have a go at it, and then see how you go, see if you can work it all out. But that's pretty much how you play Purea Nei, with just a little bit more of flavor to it, other than just playing the straight 3 chords around and around, or the straight 3 chords with the 6 if you add the 6 in. Other than that, we are all finished, we are all done. So that's another lesson done and dusted. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We do have some more content on the way. Enjoy the jam track, jam along with it, have a little play along. We hope to see you in the next video. Plenty more content to come. Leave us a comment if you have a question. Other than that, kia pai tō rā, have a great day. Sure.